Eating the right things, exercising some kind of movement plan, drinking enough water, sleeping, recovery. If you can really optimize those, your body works for you versus against you.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Jess Marshall podcast. Wow. Mark that swipe. Bring it.
I'm doing an app right now, so
there you go.
I'm in that and trying to create an app for streamlining more, nutrition, workouts, all that stuff.
That's awesome. How time consuming has it been getting that going?
I just started. It was always in the back of my head, but it's easier these days now.
What's that process like? Is that like writing a book? Like you starting with an outline, or you starting with an end goal and working backwards? Or
it's more so, obviously, like we talked about. I've, in the past 17 years as a trainer, I've gone through 25,000 one-on-one sessions, in person for an hour with people, talking about their needs, understanding what their goals are, and now refining that to put it on an app, to assess nutrition, weekly check-ins, workouts, daily habits, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's been fun. Obviously, transitioning from being that in-person trainer to now an entrepreneur. I'm looking for coaches to help bring on a team and build that. It's a different mindset. So now I'm focusing on the growth aspect of lifted mindset.
It's gonna be that's gonna be a whole new set of challenges, man.
Yeah.
Having people working for you, helping end user clients.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the main thing. It's the growth comes with life in general. So it's like I'm taking it on one step at a time, and again, one foot in front of the other. Just
telling you.
Yeah,
I'm telling you. If I got any good advice if you want some gum, if you got any good advice that I didn't really listen to when I was younger, when I just hustled and had limitless energy, now I got some grays.
I'm getting them.
So, so I still have limitless energy, but I just don't want to waste any of it.
Exactly.
I got to point it at the right places. It was hire slow, fire fast. I would get so excited. I would meet people. I'd be like, they have potential. I see what they could be. I see a little of me in them. This could be. And then it would be like, are you out of bed yet? Like, are we doing this yet? What are we doing? What's going on? And I'm just running in circles. Hire slow, fire fast. It's definitely a guruism. It's so true, man. People make all the difference. That's one thing about this podcast I didn't even realize was going to happen. I get so high when I sit across from someone else that's like on the same astral plane. Like we're both like, we get it. We can look across and go, yeah, this guy or this gal gets it. I'm high for like 2 days after that, just from sitting down and sharing like an hour or two with no phones, trading ideas with someone else who's on fire for life, right? Because life is so beautiful, but it really sucks when there's no passion involved.
It's the enthusiasm. So it's like I always stay away from. I'm not a salesman with what I do. It's more so I try to do my best to transfer enthusiasm to my clients. If you come in with me and your goal is to lose 30, 40 pounds, there's a mountain that we have to climb together to really get you to stay motivated and again have that lifted understanding of what's going to take.
Sure.
I've had bad business relationships to where they've fallen through. The alignment wasn't there. So now trying to build a team, it's like okay, I'm patient with it. Lifted mindset. It's like my baby. I'm trying to make sure that I have the right people that see my vision.
Yeah.
That was the main thing. It was more so like lifted mindset to me. Think bigger because it's better. Is generational health. It's how am I showing up for my family, my boys, my wife? Because when I was competing in bodybuilding, I was 300 pounds. So I think I weighed the other day and I was like close to 200 pounds.
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
So 100 pounds difference, and there's a lot of realization that comes with that. There's an understanding of what it's like, seeing someone that's, 50 pounds overweight. I had horrible sleep apnea when I was my heaviest when I was bodybuilding.
Even when you were jacked, but your just body is...
It's the same thing, right? It's,
really?
Muscle, too much muscle here,
really?
Too much weight here impacts your lungs. You're inhibited in that way.
Okay, let's talk about that because I have that.
Okay.
And I've broken my nose, 10, 15 times, and I've had somewhere between 40 and 50 concussions from this bad boy. Yeah. So I attribute a lot of that to that, but I am also very muscular, and I want to keep the strength, but I want to drop I'm like 275, between 275, 285 right now. I'd like to be like 250.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
But the sleep apnea for sure is something that I've noticed. Even I'm like, but I'm strong. I can roll people right now. So you had sleep apnea even when you're like, what are you dialed in at body fat content competing?
So
Day
I
of
competed,
competition,
Day of
do you think?
competition. Like my last like big show was 2017. It was like junior nationals. I competed at around 240.
Okay.
So off season, you're trying to increase your muscle mass.
Right.
Body fat comes with that.
You
Obviously,
bet.
you're increasing your calories. You're training heavy. So I was pushing close to 300 pounds in my off season. So 50, 60 pounds overweight. Like just obviously the goal for me was when I was younger. Like you get that external validation from lifting weights, getting bigger.
Right.
My goal was 300 pounds. Like
Sure.
don't get me wrong. Like I was trying to push that.
It's fun.
But what
Yeah.
came with that was just, in hindsight, was very unhealthy for me. And I realized in my profession, I've had bad relationships with other coaches that have got me in shape for shows, that maybe their mindset wasn't focusing on keeping alignment with health, and that brought me down a path of just I was unhealthy. So it showed me that if I can achieve greater health for myself, like it only made sense I could translate to other people more clearly, because it was an alignment issue. I understood that clearly with my past coaches, and now it's a lot easier for me to translate because I'm living the life. I understand
Sure.
it, and I understand two perspectives of being 100 pounds overweight to now, and it's a night and day difference to how I feel, how I operate, how I show up, energy-wise. I mean, there was times where I can bend over and put my shoes on in a lot of ways, and the goal ultimately was, being muscular, being
Right.
big, and aesthetic focus for visual aspects on stage and performing, competing. But, as I evolved, I realized that it just was holding me back in a lot of ways, and I got past that identity of, being the biggest guy.
Sure.
But my strength is still there. Like, that's the main thing. Like,
Wow.
my focus is just building strength. If I can stay strong, like, that translates into everything else in my life.
Yeah. Especially now that you've got kiddos.
Yeah, exactly.
There's new priorities.
New focus.
Can I get this little bundle of joy out a window if there's a fire?
Exactly.
Or this life partner bundle of joy sometimes,
Yes.
not
Yeah.
others, out
Yes.
a window
Yeah.
in case of a fire.
If I needed to, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the main thing.
But you say overweight, and people would look at your photos. You put that on Facebook and Instagram. Mm-hmm. Sohail will pull your Instagram up because those photos are crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you look awesome in both photos. 100 pounds overweight, though, when you say that to most people, they're going to not think of the photo that they're going to see soon.
Yeah.
You obviously understand the relationship between the body and the mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know who Rick Rubin is, the producer?
I do, yeah.
Have you listened to his podcast with Joe Rogan talking about all that weight he lost?
No, I haven't. I need to.
And it was, hey, I got this mind, and it's crazy and it's genius, but I could never do anything I imagined because my body wasn't lined up. Now I got this body to match this mind. It's a whole new ball game.
A different game.
Did you stop competing and that's when you decide, or did one happen before the other? Did you say, man, I don't feel good. I feel what? Depressed, probably tired, no energy.
I got to a point where I realized that, I was chasing. I in 2017, I won a national show. My first national show, it was junior nationals, went out to Chicago, won it. And I got back, and it was almost like you reached the goal, and then ultimately it just wasn't what you thought.
Right.
Same thing happened in 2020. Got
That
a magazine
sucks, right?
cover, thought it was cool. Like, it was a goal that I set, but it was ultimately kind of like, it was more so the journey that really got me to
Sure.
understand the whole process of really my purpose ultimately in life was, achieving this goal. But I had to always ask bigger questions. I realized that more and more, and that was actually, the foundation of, think bigger. I'm always asking bigger questions. I got to a point where my success in bodybuilding was good. I had a couple guest posings, had a guest posing. They flew me out to Japan, had a guest posing there for the Marine Corps. So I had all these cool experiences, but at the end of it, after that, I was kind of like, I had to ask bigger questions. How could I be of more service to other people? My background is fitness and health. Am I really living the healthy lifestyle that I'm trying to help other people achieve? And how can I serve more people more clearly and at scale and for my business ultimately? So it was more so taking a step back and understanding that these are not selfish goals, but, goals of a boy, becoming a man in a lot of ways,
Sure.
as as a father, as a young father, as a young husband still. So that really came to fruition, once I had all these cool, check marks off my accomplishment lists. So that was the main thing. Just I wanted to think bigger and really create an understanding that, I can do more with the power that I've been given.
Isn't there a verse in Proverbs that says, the glory of the young men is their strength, the glory of the old men is their wisdom?
Yeah.
It's definitely the way it is, right?
Yeah.
It would be really rad to have the brains we have now, but be 19 again.
And
But it's just not that way.
But at 32, like I do feel, because I have clients, we have chronological age and biological age. I have older clients who are in their, women, they're in their late 50s, but they get their blood work done, and they have a biological age of early 30s.
Wow.
So for me, it's like understanding that connection of your lifestyle and really your vitality. You can reverse age in a lot of ways with just current lifestyle habits, eating right, exercising. And those same clients, they have, siblings that live completely different lifestyles, and they're just unhealthy and they're aging differently.
You're talking about biological age, like it's never too late to make that change that could really make a big difference in your quality of life.
Yes. Yeah. And just the experience overall. Like it's really, going back to the mindset, the mind, and how you move. Like I have people coming with me and train, and they may be 40, 50 pounds overweight, and they're fearful of just taking a step down a flight of stairs.
Sure.
So just understanding the struggles and the pain points that people have, that's a simple movement for most people. Just taking one step down the stairs. If you can really optimize someone's ability to manage their own weight, that builds so much more confidence just in every aspect, and as we age, maybe our mobility or our mindset may become more limited, more fearful of, I don't want to hurt this. I hurt my knee back in the day, but I want to limit myself there. Your body understands what's going on. There's an innate intelligence that we have that we don't want to admit, but your body tells you, if there's pain, there's some kind of inhibition, some kind of weakness. But if you can strengthen an active range of motion within, let's say, your knee, you get stronger. The muscle supports the knee more effectively, and then that range of motion opens up, and slowly the pain goes away. So my focus is always to let people understand that, if you just work your active range of motion in a certain exercise, you'll get stronger. The joint will be more supported, and your body will naturally open itself up more. My background is kinesiology, so it's like muscle testing, assessing, muscle weakness, imbalance, left to right. So seeing how you can muscle test and see if someone can stay strong or weak, that's the greatest sign of strength overall, and it translates into, brain health, all that stuff. So it's really cool to see how someone comes with me and they have a limited understanding of what's possible for themselves, and you just slowly be like, hey, you could lift 5 more pounds. They're like, no, we'll push back. Then you're like, try it. And then the light turns on. One's like, oh, like I can get stronger. Like, and this pain can be minimized in some form. If not, go away. I had a client yesterday. He hasn't seen me in like 3 months. Came back. He's like, oh yeah, I'm having knee issues. Literally did a warm up. His knee was better. So just small stuff like that. People live through a lot of pain that they don't have to. But at the same time, we have this idea of, exercise is more painful than the opposition. It's not true. It's false.
Yes.
And over time you do realize that.
Yeah.
So if you're able to get through that initial mindset of thinking the exercise is more difficult than the latter, like there's so much more possibility for you.
On the sleep apnea thing, so you're like 300. It's obviously, wait, did you do a test? Did you do a sleep test, or was your wife
my
just
wife
like,
knew, yeah, you were snoring hard,
and you stopped breathing?
And I was pressing the snooze at least 7 times
because you're
in the morning.
exhausted.
I'm tired
because you weren't getting any REM.
I broke my bed because I was so heavy. Like I woke up one day and the side was just like down. So I was heavy. Yeah.
The challenges of an offensive lineman right there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, so at what weight did the sleep apnea disappear once you start? Because I know you sons of bitches, you keep track of every gram, every ounce, everything. Were you like it?
I couldn't pinpoint.
Were you still snoring when you were at your competition weight? 240?
To a certain extent. Like I still, again, because
you weren't comfortable.
Muscles, tongue, like all that. You don't realize how much your excess muscle impacts your breathing.
That's weird.
And really even like if I think about just breath overall, because we breathe out, we excrete and really burn body fat through our respiration.
Yes.
So as you become more limited within your respiration, I see a lot of clients, they come to me and they're excessively overweight, because over time it's a compounding effect. They gain more weight and it limits their respiration overall. And then they're losing, and ultimately from there, it's like a snowball effect of they continue to gain weight and their respiration is more limited and more limited. So if you can really optimize your breathing, do breath work, when you're exercising, breathe through your nose, like that also excretes so much more.
That's really trending right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Through the nose. Mark Smelly Bell.
Yes, yeah.
So he's doing, love those two dudes, Mark and Chris Bell. Great documentaries that Chris has made. He runs, 4 or 5 miles with his mouth taped.
Yeah. Oh,
so talk about this, because it's weird how fitness stuff trends, and we'll talk more about a big trend that came to an end 2 days ago here in a minute. But the breathing through the nose while you're working out, I don't think people realize that you have that option. First of all, they're just kind of like, is it that you're just holding on for dear life and you're working out and you don't realize you have the option to go nose only?
I think it's just an education issue. Like we can uptake 6 times more oxygen through our nose than through our mouth, I believe.
Wow.
There's a great book, Breath by James Nestor, that I've been reading on just the lost art of breath work.
Is this because the nose is taking it past the brain into the lungs when you're breathing through the nose?
I don't know the anatomical,
the anatomy
of it, but ultimately it's, mouth breathing is a thing, right? Like people talk about mouth breathers, all that.
Mouth breathers.
I have clients.
Girls always say that, right? Yeah, we went out. He's a mouth breather. Yeah, right. That's a big one.
I have clients that they'll be very exhausted during a workout and they're breathing through their mouth. It's just they're trying to uptake oxygen as best they can, and they're limited from excess weight, so they're trying to breathe through their mouth. But I'm trying to tell them all the time, slow, you breathe so much better, and your heart rate will lower more fast, more quickly.
No
through
doubt.
your nose.
When you meditate or do breath work, a lot of times, like if you're stressed, they'll tell you to uptake through the nose and then dump through the mouth until you're calm, and then just nose only. What about, though, that you see a lot of studies now about how your facial structure can either benefit or change for the worse depending on whether or not you nose or mouth? How crazy is that?
Wild. Seen the pictures? Yeah,
that's insane.
It's interesting.
What's up with that?
I have no idea. It's reading the book. It goes into just ultimately just the uptake again, like you said, through the nostril. Somehow it impacts your brain more effectively, and I don't know the science behind it, but it's interesting to see how your musculature can change, even from eating processed food versus whole food, right?
Geez.
Like your jaw, everything.
Yeah.
All those muscles aren't being worked. And again, I think we're at a place now where things are so processed. You can get, most people are eating processed foods, like they're still eating kind of like kids in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And they're very satiating foods. Obviously, they're created and designed to make you want them more. But that translates into, obviously, you're eating more calories because you're not getting enough nutrients, and also your chewing's obviously down because it's more easy to take in.
Interesting. You have to grind a piece of steak down with your molars. Mm-hmm. Of course, it's going to work out your jaw muscle.
Yep.
More than if you're just slogging down some pasta.
Yep. Yeah.
Some all-you-can-eat pasta and bread bowl action or whatever.
Simple, just like that.
It's really interesting.
If you don't use it, you lose it, right?
Yeah. When you got your sleep back together, did you notice just an altogether shift in your energy. Did you have any depression issues along with that, missing out on that sleep when you were competing? Yeah.
Probably. And again, like going back to 2017, like bodybuilding for me I started when I was competing when I was 22. I competed until I was 28. I got into anabolic steroids at that same time. Though that was a time frame, so 6 years. So realizing that, when you add exogenous steroid or exogenous hormones into your system to compete, that was my goal ultimately. And it's part of the lifestyle, and it's part of it's taboo in a sense, but ultimately that's what all bodybuilders do in a sense. There's tested and there's non-tested shows.
Yeah.
I wanted to compete at the best level, so I was competing in the non-tested shows.
Sure.
So yeah, like depression was definitely part of. I think I came out of 2017 winning the national show, and I was like, I was a wreck. I was training.
Is that one of these? Which one is this? Is the you at your biggest?
That's 2018. I'm at my like off season.
Well, the one that I saw that I took note of was the 100-pound one. Is that the most recent one?
The 100-pound one, go down. When I'm comparing myself, go down, that little selfie right there. So I was pretty big. Yeah. So that was me, like, full blown.
Okay, there's not a lot of people who think that on the left you would describe yourself as overweight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Jeez, dude.
And
You look like a comic book hero, bro.
And ultimately, it's more so
Look at your face, though.
the physical weight. Yeah, like that.
Even your face is different.
Weight may look different on everyone, right? Like that's muscle compared to body fat. Yes, but the pressure within, how I was breathing, all that stuff comes into play.
Your heart still has to pump blood to all those cells.
Still has to pump, even more so, right? Like there's muscle tissue versus fat tissue. There's more blood to be pumped through muscle tissue.
That one on the left, that's 2017?
Yeah, it's probably about 2018.
Okay, so 2018, we're in 2022, almost 2023 right now. So we keep seeing bodybuilders dropping dead left, right, and center, and professional wrestlers. Mm-hmm. One just died the other day, I think on Thanksgiving Day.
Really?
Pretty famous one, yeah. Was it in your mind at all at that when you're jacked on the left there that, hey, I'm risking long-term health, or are you so dialed in on the competition? Because, I told you my struggles with concussions. I didn't really know that that was an issue. You just keep going. That was old school. I got some years on you. You're not, when you're young, you're just a rhino, man. Yeah. It's just through every wall and door, not open it, go through it.
Yeah.
Was that crossing your mind at all on the left?
That wasn't. At that time, no. Like for me, it's more so I came to the realization that, it's bigger than me in a lot of ways, and your ego has to die when you understand that you're leading your family.
How old were you when you had your first child?
It was 2015. So yeah, I was 25.
So that was kind of an eye opener more than anything, was having a kid, really.
Yeah.
That meme you put up on Facebook yesterday, or was that this morning? That what does it say? It's easier to build strong children than to fix broken men.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And, I came
That's
to...
That's heavy, man. That's heavy.
And it's, again, as I evolve, hopefully, and mature, hopefully, I have to ask myself bigger questions, and it's more so, how am I showing up for, obviously, not only myself, but how does that translate into my relationships? How does that translate into what my kids are seeing?
Why, were you kind of a dick and the guy on the left?
No, but it's bodybuilding can be very, when you're focused, when you have a goal in mind, when you're trying to be a champion. Tunnel.
Yeah,
it's a tunnel, and then you're still getting external validation from
Sure.
Other people outside. They'll keep going like, wow, like
is that a
attention,
thing?
Right?
When you're walking around at the state fair and people are going, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
is it a thing?
So it's definitely it's very egotistical in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
and I had to really wake up to understand my impact and really the impact I want to leave. Because you see guys, bodybuilders dropping left and right, and it only makes sense why. You know, it's just a lot of challenges, a lot of issues, and it translates into mental health. You know, going back into depression, yeah, like I've had bouts of depression. You know, depending on, I had a big one in 2017. You know, when I got done with my show, I won. I was like, okay, is this it? Like, what else? So I had to ask a lot of questions, and I had to, you know, clean up a lot to get to the point now where it's like I don't have to be dependent on anything. That was my main thing. Like I didn't want to have to feel like I was dependent on gear. Yeah. And you get a lot of guys that had that mindset of like, I have to take this for the rest of my life. And I was like,
or they think they can only be optimal if they are
exactly
taking it.
Exactly.
And now you are optimal, but in a much different way.
A different way. Yeah.
Does your mind operate more tactically now than it did then, not just because of your experience and your age, but just, do you notice that? Was there any brain fog with all that gear, or was that?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Like I definitely, it's, you know, I feel so much better. You know, realizing like now going from pressing the snooze alarm every, 5-6 times in the morning to I woke up this morning I typically start work at 4:30. So I woke up this morning at like 3:45. No alarm. You know, my alarm goes off at 4.
I was up then.
All right.
Yeah, I got a very sick dog, so which that sucks, man. Losing dogs.
I'm sorry
Such
to hear.
a bummer, man. Golly, it's a bummer.
Sick right now? Currently?
Yeah, it's a she. Yeah, it's not good. Got to like pick a day to usher him off into the Neverland. It really is a bummer.
I'm sorry.
I should have texted you though. 3:45. Do you wake up naturally usually?
And that was the goal. Like I wanted to have like a circadian rhythm to where it's like I go to bed and I wake up without alarm. Like I have, I guess, my theory is, an alarm just jolts you awake. You know, it's like, and if you think about cortisol and how that impacts, your heart. Like my dad passed away from a heart attack 2021.
Young,
and he was 57. So yeah, young.
That's crazy.
So
I'm very sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so realizing that I'm trying to optimize everything because I want to be here. And my focus is again, that was the biggest thing for my ability too. Like I just want to be here. I want to be present. I grew up again my father was in the military. My parents got divorced when I was 3, so they split up. He was stationed all over the world, so he wasn't present. He just wasn't there. So my biggest thing was I want to be here. I want to be present with my boys. I want to be able to.
Have you wanted to be a dad since you can remember?
No.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate that we had 2 beautiful surprises, in our lives.
Sure.
So
the universe had something different planned for you than maybe you had planned for yourself.
Exactly. So that was the main thing. And coming to that realization that, it was a fear for me, and I didn't actually, and I woke up to the realization that, I have a lineage of absentee fathers.
Really?
So it's like I woke up to the realization that part of me was fearful of this place, this position, and it also liberated me and empowered me to know that I was here, present, and had the opportunity to show up better.
And that you could break this generational thing.
And that was the thing. It was really understanding that trauma, the generational, whatever you want to call it, but, being the first within, my lineage, I have a grandfather was an alcoholic, he had 6 kids with, my grandma, so it was like he wasn't present as well. So have that awakening of, I had a narrative in my head that was saying hey, it was pushing me away from being present, and it could have been bodybuilding. It could have been a lot of things that were pushing me in that direction of, maybe I don't know what it was, but I came to that realization, and it woke me up to okay, I have a bigger responsibility, a bigger calling, whatever that may be. But that was the biggest pull for me.
Did your grandfather's struggles trickle down to your father and have an effect on him, you think?
I mean, it's possible, again, obviously the military was his job. He could have been stationed closer, but, he, was stationed all over the world. I was very fortunate. At the same time, I spent first grade in Japan with him, so he was stationed in Hawaii. I was born in Germany. So I have a lot of cultural understanding that I'm thankful for.
Sure.
So there's nothing in my upbringing that made me resent. Well, I worked through that resentment in a lot of ways. But it made me realize that, yeah, like I'm thankful for the relationship we had. And as I became a father, I realized that the love that you have for your child is so great. And obviously he felt the same way about me. But he just wasn't able to express it in that way. So it definitely opened my eyes up to realizing how I can show up better and be more present, and just make a better impact.
Was your interest in fitness something that started out pretty young, or was it something that someone looked at you and said, yo, you got a reasonable frame, let's get you in here and hit these, throw this iron around?
It's funny,
brother.
It started, so middle school, I had track was something I did on spring, I guess, and then it ended and I wouldn't do much. So I'd probably be at home, video games. So my mom's like, you got to do something. We'll put you in karate. She put me in karate. Well, first off, she gave me a gym membership. I didn't go. And then she's like, all right, let's put you in karate. Put me in karate. I did not want to do karate.
Yeah.
I hated karate. So I was like, all right, I'm going to give this gym thing a try. Okay. So got a trainer. Like, she used to send me with a trainer. I was turned off by the situation because he just kind of seemed like he wasn't passionate. He wasn't interested. He's just like, oh, here's a kid. Like, let me put you through some things. So it kind of turned me off a little bit. I was like, I'm going to do it on my own. So started doing it, started seeing results. I'd be in the gym when I was 12 for 3 hours, just there doing my thing. Obviously, it's not. I've learned a lot since then. You don't be in the gym for 3 hours.
Well, yeah, and isn't that age? When I was growing up, like I said, I got some years on you, but it was always, you shouldn't be doing weights till you're like 13 or 14 because of your growth plates.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And then it was, even then it was, what was the machine? You might not remember. It's before Bowflex. There was another machine that was rubber bands. And it was, because Bowflex is interesting. I've never really used that and liked that one, but there was another one. But it was like Bowflex's daddy.
Like rubber bands.
It was little rubber bands that had like metal holes in them, and then you would put them on, and they were only this big. Where the Bowflex is those big rods. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I don't know the name though. I don't know.
Dang it! I
just
remember
it was like some Chuck Norris.
I would sneak in there. Yeah, the Chuck Norris is the. Remember, Chuck Norris is the platform that you go up and down, and then you pull your arms around. Yeah. So you got full range of motion, and
Texas Ranger right there.
I would sneak into the weight area and like work out and then get back out and do push-ups or because you're only allowed to do like push-ups or lunges. What's the ideal weight for a kiddo to start strength training?
Or age, like I have clients that are 13.
Really?
I have they're young athletes that want to improve.
You put one up the other day, didn't you?
Their baseball swing. I really find value within a young athlete. Training with bands is great. Tom Brady's a great example. Trains with bands, only trains with bands.
Yeah, and doesn't eat nightshades.
Yeah, or strawberries. But yeah, so I think 13 is a great age. I grew okay. I'm 6'1". I haven't had any major injuries for the most part. I've torn some muscles here and there, but ultimately I think around 13 is a great start. Some kind of foundation.
Yeah, is setting that base, is that an old wives' tale, or is that true? You lift weights for 5 years, you take a year off, you get back to it. Does that muscle memory pop back to where you're going to notice results faster than someone who hadn't started lifting till...
I believe so.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I have clients that, they may fall off for a few months, and it's really about the recovery. Your body becomes adapted to, breaking down muscle tissue and just recovering faster. So they may start back up and they may feel like, oh, I'm starting over again. But, you get right back into it. It's more so, I think, going back to that innate intelligence that our body has. Like we, try to pass it off as, less than, but, it knows more than we like to admit in a lot of ways. How we can recover fast, how naturally, it heals. We're self-healing machines. So it definitely, muscle memory is a thing. I've seen it time and time again.
Does the human body continue to amaze you?
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, for me, more so like obviously my evolution, my transformation, I see and how I translate that into my business and helping people. It's definitely an understanding that I used to believe that I wouldn't be able to lift as much as I do now naturally, because I had this mindset of, I need to take this gear to, stay strong and stay healthy, and meditation, breath work, all these things come into play in how we operate, the mind and the body, and how, if we can stay aligned within that space, amazing things happen. Weight loss, you're feeling more vital, talking about reversing your biological age, so eating the right things, exercising, some kind of movement plan, drinking enough water, sleeping, recovery. If you can really optimize those, your body works for you versus against you.
Do you think that you have all this experience with human bodies and minds? Do you think that it's just something that by chance there was this big bang and this organism started working and then here we are however many years later? Or do you feel like it was like there was an intelligent creation involved with that?
I feel like there was some form of intelligent creation.
Yeah.
Because, when it comes to even from, I've come to the realization that, it's your health is so much more than the physical body. When I had that realization of healing, generational issues, like it was a wave of, it was a realization that just, it's hard to explain. And definitely, I felt a healing in my body, and it was very liberating, empowering when that realization, that light turned on. So that made me kind of open up the understanding of how your physical health translates to your mental, emotional health, and even spiritual health in some form. I think it's all connected.
Yeah, right. The chicken or egg argument, I guess, doesn't really matter if you're really trying to be holistically healthy, like WHOLE, whole, like the entire you, your spirit, soul, body, mind, everything lined up. Maybe you are fit first and then your mind comes along, or maybe your mind's way out in front of your body, but you bring, like we talked about Rick Rubin a few minutes ago, but the mind does affect the body and the body does affect the mind. If the software doesn't have good equipment to run, or the equipment is running off of inferior software and there's an imbalance there, then I think your quality of life it only stands to reason. It wouldn't be optimum, right? You wouldn't be enhancing your own performance if you weren't seeking balance in some way. Maybe when you had that realization of generational healing, maybe it released energy into your cells. If you have a breakthrough mentally, it's
neuroplasticity, right? In going back to that connection between your mind and body, it's like, your muscles atrophy if you don't use them. If you don't use them, you lose them. That translates into going back to movement. If you're limited in your movement, that translates into turning certain connecting neuroconnectors to your brain. So your brain atrophies just like your muscles do. So if we can really optimize, and again, I think it's constant work. I don't get to a point where I'm healthy
and I'm done.
And I'm done. Right? It's literally constant work, and then the challenges come with that. But I do my best to approach it from I'm a student of the game. I'm always trying to lead with humility and learn constantly from clients on a daily basis, from my kids, from my community, all that stuff. So if I can lead with that understanding that there's always something to learn from every single person you come in contact with, that opens up so much more space for new growth and just a more open mindset.
When you describe your disappointment, when you had the goal, you met the goal in 2017 and you kind of got there and were like, this is it, we're done, this is it. That is what we all hear from our elders when we're growing up, that it's about the journey, not the destination. And when you're young, you're like, how about we put some W's in that win column and then we'll talk about some journeys, right? Yep. That had to put things into perspective, even though you probably were, maybe it felt like you were treading water to a degree, that you had achieved this, but you didn't feel fulfilled. How long did it take you to just kind of make peace with that and then keep blazing forward?
I think, parts of it's like seasons, right? trees turn, the leaves fall off. Like parts of us die every season in a lot of ways. You have to let go of. I had to let go of that identity of being a bodybuilder, of being successful in this space, and how I can take that and grow from it and learn from it, and how I can translate that into my business. And really, it's more so serving and how can I express my story, because ultimately I've realized from talking to people, all my clients, again, 25,000 sessions of one-on-one interaction.
Again, that's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. So realizing that, people just want to be heard. They want to tell their story. I think there's a healing aspect of also showcasing point A to point B. Like, this is where I was here. This was kind of my mindset. Maybe not, only in hindsight I was seeing, but it takes some time to get through it, to look back and be like, okay, this is where I am now. Completely night and day difference, different mindset, different approach. But the growth has always been around, and the question has always been asking bigger questions of, okay, how can I take this experience and translate that into impacting someone else's life? Because I've had the joy that I found, going back into my success personally in bodybuilding, that was fun. But there's nothing more joyful than having someone come to me and hug me because they are down 35 pounds and they're feeling better. I have a client, 51 years old. She yo-yo dieter, very inconsistent with her workouts, training, made a commitment, to start a plan with me. She was like pre-diabetic, a lot of challenges, a lot of blood work issues. She started a plan, and in like 4 months, she lost 35 pounds. So got her blood work done. Totally good.
That's a lot in 4 months. That takes hard work.
Yeah, so consistent. It was really just the commitment and having the accountability, So it was more so the structures in place. Like, she had the right professionals in her corner and just helping her, guiding her in the right way. So, she was hugging me. She's very thankful. And just seeing how you can translate your knowledge and your experience into someone else and seeing how it impacts their life. Because it's, generational. She's a mom. She has kids. Like, she's inspiring not only, her family, but her community, other friends. So another story is also, I have a father of 3, husband. He runs a successful company. Came to me, lost 40 pounds in a year. Now all his neighbors are asking questions. He's having some of the wives around hitting on him, stuff like that. So and he's
pool parties taking on a whole new meaning.
And he's playing with his kids, cannonballs in the pool while the other dads are they're tired, they're drinking beers,
or we're doing t-shirt in the pool.
And he's leading his company more clearly now. So it's cool to see how you can take someone, help them understand the value of their habits, help them understand the value of how fitness can change their life, how proper nutrition can change their life, plug them back to their day-to-day life and see how that osmosis effect takes place. So it's very inspiring to me. And that's really where I find so much value, is just translating what I've learned into helping other people.
Yeah, I bet. I was listening somewhere to some ad I listen to the regular radio a lot.
Okay. Oh, a lot of commercials. Huh?
Real old guy. You listen to this one sports talk app. They advertise weight loss all the time. What's the one on there that I think they advertise more than they think? That soda weight loss, I think. Okay. And it's always the tagline in there, something along the lines of, you can't outwork your bad diet. So you can't outwork your fork, right? I mean, it all starts in the kitchen. It's all about the pantry, the refrigerator, all of that. If you had to put a percentage on that, because they use a percentage in their ad, so I want to see what you say.
Yeah.
If you said, in terms of fitness, nutrition is 75% of fitness, 80, 60, 90, if you had to put a number, percentage to fitness consists of this percentage is all on nutrition, what would you say?
I think it differs. Again, like if you're a 22-year-old kid, you're going to eat what you want. Right. You have the metabolism to burn things off.
Damn youngsters, man. Damn youngsters.
As we get a little older, and I'm realizing now, I'm 32, it changes significantly. For
Moving
me,
on the lips, lifetime on the hips. Yeah.
But it's high. I'd say, 70%, 8%.
Yeah.
I definitely say it's around there. Because
Yeah.
ultimately, you know, a good analogy would be, you know, I see people pulling up to, you know, McDonald's, or pulling up to McDonald's for $1 menu, and then they go get, you know, what's the Supreme gas for their Mercedes. You know, it's like it's interesting to think.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see what we put value in.
Yes.
And your fuel is everything. Like how you fuel your body, you are what you eat, right? So, you know, if you're eating McDonald's, the $1 menu every day, like the quality of food and the output that you're really the exhaust, whatever you want to call it, the energy that you're putting out in the world is going to be limited to that.
I mean, your food are your building blocks. I'm a builder. You can't tell me go build that awesome structure, but you have to use all like used or cheapest only material and think you're going to get a great
the
finished
three
product.
pigs, right? Like, okay, we're going to build your house with bricks, you know, or sticks.
If someone told everyone you get this car, it's the only one you get for the rest of your life, the fuel would always be premium. Those tires would be rotated. That thing would be cleaned. There would be no rust.
Yep.
That is your body. You get one of them. And the scriptures talk about the body too, right? It's a temple. You know, it's the only one you get. Yeah. We don't yet get a second. Elon might be working on that. I don't know, but right now, and yet, I think it just, I guess, comes down to priorities.
Yeah. And I've put my body through the ringer. Like I'm in no place, no one's perfect. I've definitely put my body through it, and I've learned from it. And obviously, I'm very thankful to have the environment to where I'm having conversations every day of, you know, what's working, what's not working for you, and how I can translate into my own life. But yeah, I've learned that ain't nothing gonna fuel you better than whole food.
Is a calorie a calorie? Is a calorie of flaming hot Cheetos the same as a calorie of ribeye steak?
No.
So calorie counting in and of itself might be one useful tool.
Yes, it's very outdated.
But if you really use the building blocks analogy, that's really the best way to put together a nutrition plan.
It is, yeah.
That I want to be strong, mobile, adaptable, flexible. I got to use the best ingredients.
Yes.
Because people say you are what you eat all the time.
Yeah.
But you are. But you are.
Yeah.
Your cells are made out of what you eat.
Yes. Yeah. You can optimize those cells too. Like I did almost a 72-hour fast this
Saw
week.
that. That's okay. Walk me through that.
You know, I had a good amount of food for Thanksgiving. So I'm a little uncomfortable, a little too much. So I think I was up like 212, I think, it's not an issue at all, but decided to go for a little cleanse. You know, it's more so let the body heal a little bit more.
Okay.
So the autophagy effect of your cellular cleaning. So you're cleansing your cells, you're allowing your body to understand that if you I went for 30 years before I even started fasting. So I was eating, you know, at least 3 meals a day. But when I was bodybuilding, I was eating 7 meals a day, maybe 8. So
were you having to force any of those 7, 8 meals, or were you dying hungry? Okay, that was work.
It was like a full-time job.
Okay.
Yeah, it was work. I'd wake up in the middle of the night. I'd eat. Yeah.
Yeah. Ronnie Coleman style, huh? Yeah.
Ronnie Coleman.
Man.
But yeah, it's I find so much value from fasting. I rarely push 72. It's more so maybe a day.
72 isn't really impressive. So let me ask you this. When I fast, the first thing that I notice, I first of all notice I am sharp, man. I feel good. I am energetic. I feel positive. I am not tired. Then I don't know if it's a stomach acid thing or what, but I get so just nauseous when I'm at like 30 hours.
Really?
Like my stomach acid is just revolting. Do you have...
I don't have that issue. I've actually heard that issue yesterday for the first time.
Like I'm not hungry. Like it doesn't nauseous. Feel like something that would be solved by eating.
Yeah.
Like I actually don't want to eat. I just am just like, oh man.
I'd be curious. Like, so do you stop it then?
I usually I'm kind of hardcore, so I usually keep pushing until I'm almost to where I'm gonna vomit.
Okay,
and
so
then I'll throw something. Yeah.
Okay.
It's weird.
anything ever come up? I mean, if you have nothing.
No,
in your stomach,
I haven't let it get that far, but it got really close to that Sunday.
You drinking water during this fast?
Tons.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's cheating fast. It's my fast. I'm usually hydrating with some sort of trace minerals or some sort of electrolytes. I'm just not eating food per se or any meal replacements. It's only I won't even do bone broth normally.
And that's something I was going to say. I recommend even bone broth like that, even on a fast. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And again, there's different fasts, right?
Was yours water only fast?
I got to about 62. I got about 68 hours, and then I did some bone broth.
Because by then you are counting hour by hour.
Yeah, I was hungry because I was just going to push it. I was like, oh, I got to 36. I feel so clear at 36 hours. Like, I wake up, just like I'm focused, and it stays that way. And it stayed that way up until I started eating.
What point did you start to feel like that overwhelming fatigue? Or was that maybe not something that
I hadn't reached it just yet. And now I've done in the past where I incorporated some workouts where I don't recommend, where I did have that fatigue. I did some light cardio throughout that fast, and I think I worked out one time earlier in the fast. But I haven't had over fatigue yet. And 3 days is a push for me. Like, three-day fast is pushing.
So when we kind of understand our roots ancestrally, we'll get back to that word in a second. Yeah. We know that we were hunter-gatherers and that our bodies are made to store energy because you happen upon fire and an antelope if you're a caveman and you put away as much of it as you can. You store as much of it as you can, but you have no electricity.
Yep.
And you have very limited tech. So then I don't know when I'm going to eat again.
Exactly.
And then your body can, as long as you keep it hydrated, can withstand no actual calories for a long time. Mm-hmm. Do you think intermittent fasting is a good thing for people to try?
I do. At least trying it. It's more so like if it's and again, it could be as simple as sleeping 8 hours. There's 8 hours of your fast. I always recommend starting maybe around 12 hours to 16 hours and have an 8-hour window. Your body, you don't need to consume it. It depends on your schedule too. Like, I have clients that may start eating at 12. And I have other clients that may just have one day of the week where they do a 24-hour fast.
Wow.
So it all depends on your schedule, your lifestyle, what you can endure. I mean, it's more mental than anything I've come to realize. It's more so understanding that at a certain point, like, one of the theories is that your microbiome, your gut health, or the bacteria in your gut, at a certain point, depending on what you consume, you proliferate that same bacteria. If you eat sugar all the time, you have gut bacteria that wants to consume sugar. So at a certain point, you have cravings that come up because your gut wants to survive all that bacteria. So it sends up a signal like, hey, like, I'm craving sugar. And then people are just like, oh, I need sugar. Versus waiting a little bit and letting those, cravings, die down. Because is it really a craving or is it hunger? Most people just have cravings. So if you can get past the point of understanding the level of consciousness that is within us, not only you, but you have gut bacteria that is trying to survive in your gut. And if you're eating, depending on the food you're eating, processed food, whole food, that's what's living in your gut because it has to process it and, eliminate it as well. So I came to the realization that, most of these signals are being sent up. You have a gut-brain axis connection. Most of the times, it's just a craving. Like, oh, this gut bacteria wants to survive. I'm going to send up a signal to the brain telling me that I need sugar. Then people mostly go for the pantry and get some candy versus waiting some time, allowing it to subside. And I think most people think that, we are our thoughts in a lot of ways. But in that instance, it's, you're not really your thought. You're just having a craving that's, a biological, adaptation, from your body. So it's interesting to kind of think of how all these interactions happen and the signals that are sent up from our gut and what we need.
Sure. And then when you have a thought, I'm realizing this more and more, I can identify the thought and I can say, wrong thought.
It's mindfulness. That's
exactly
mindfulness.
Aware that your thought life doesn't exist apart from your awareness. There's definitely a power that comes with that you feel. See, we're way more powerful.
Yes.
Now, there's a lot we can't control. No one's saying that's not true. But holy shit, there's a lot we can control. If we controlled every single thing we could control and controlled it absolutely, so only what you can control, but control the fuck out of it, your life would just, it would change immediately. On a dime, it would change. I really want to have like a life-changing experience, you know, where like things just, and they, you know, they start working out for me more, you know, just things right now. Control everything you can control it down to the last stitch detail. We're done. Write me a $10,000 check and have a good day. You don't even need to go listen to Tony Robbins, man. Just control everything you can control. That gut biome thing's very interesting, right? Because the messages that it sends your brain, a lot of people with depression have horrible nutrition, and they don't link the two. They go to a doctor, conventional doctor goes, oh, tell me about your problems. And the first thing they do is pull out a pad. There's not even a what did you eat yesterday or the day before. Here's a form. It's a food journal. I will see you in 1 week, and if you have the same symptoms, we will talk about a pill. Until then, I want to know everything you put in your body. Is that something you discuss with your clients?
Always. Like, nutrition is everything. Like we talked about, it's what you fuel yourself with and how it translates into your mood, behavior, certain habits. So realizing that if you can create some form, there's a statistic on your blood sugar levels and fights you get in your relationship.
Yeah, I bet.
So it's like realizing that, okay, are we really arguing about something, or is it just like my blood sugar's low?
Hangry?
Are we hangry? And I've had that, you know, my dieting days.
I bet.
I've been very hangry. But realizing, how if we can control what we can, ultimately, nutrition, you know, movements, and how that translates into our mental health, it's a game changer. And that's what I really try to, you know, hammer into people. It's like we're always talking about food. I'm always asking them what they're eating. You know, are you drinking all your water? How's your sleep? So it's the fundamentals that I think we, you know, don't take advantage of, which we should, because we'd be at a totally different level in a mental health space, and really just understanding that it's our responsibility. You know, really it's no one else's responsibility to take care of ourselves. If we can really take that extreme ownership and understand that, and just do the homework and just try new things. If it's food, if it's some form of exercise, some movement plan, go for a walk. All these things impact your mental health long term. And if you can create some kind of structure, some kind of lifestyle, some kind of, you know, accountability group, community, you know, build that. That ultimately translates into your overall well-being. I'm always talking about food with people, because I've seen the value of, you know, when I eat crappy and when I don't, when I drink and when I don't. Like, all that stuff impacts, you know, your brain health, gut health, and it's all connected, and it's always communicating.
You just said something very interesting. Try something new. You know, if you go on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, whatever, everybody's on. There's people on there talking about this new thing, that new thing. We got Liver King now. We just figured out he's a fraud. If you didn't know that before, you must be smoking all the medical grade everything, because the dude is just next. It's out of control. And I think it was Derek, More Plates, More Dates, that found his emails or whatever.
Yeah, I saw the video.
Yeah. But before we get into Liver King, and I don't want to give the guy like too much, but it's certainly an interesting study. Doing new stuff with your body. So if you eat the same thing all the time, even if it's good stuff, chicken, broccoli, rice, whatever, or you do the same workout all the time, does your body acclimate to that to its detriment? Because I know consistency is important. I don't think anybody would say it's not. But coming out of the blue at your body with, okay, I'm going to fast you for a while, or okay, we're going to go carnivore for 2 days, or we're going to do no meat for 2 or 3 days. Or is there benefit to that? Have you found benefit
shock to the
doing
system a little bit?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it all depends on the goals, right? Like, if you set the right intention, if you understand, okay, you know, maybe I want to, you know, add some muscle, maybe I want to lose some weight, you need to have some form of connection to, I need to change what I'm currently doing, my current habits. I get a lot of people that have been, I always try to explain it like a ship. You know, you can't do a complete 180 and change your entire lifestyle up. It's literally 1 degree at a time. So knowing that you've been going down this path for 10 years, and the last one I ask you a question like, when's the last time you weighed your ideal weight that you want to weigh now? And they're like, it's been 10 years ago. It's not going to take 3 weeks to get there, but understand that you're slowly turning the ship in the right direction with just the smallest change in lifestyle. If it's increasing your water, most people are dehydrated. And that's a simple fact in a lot of ways.
Are a lot of people there's definitely a wives' tale out there? If you think you're hungry, drink water first. You might be dehydrated, not hungry. Is that? I mean,
yeah, or even headache. Just, people get headaches all the time, and it's more so they'll pop a pill versus drinking some water.
Right.
Simple things like that. But
man, and those Aleve and those Tylenol and that aspirin fucks your gut biome up. It pokes little holes in it.
I'm really weird about it. Like I don't get headaches, but at the same time, if I did, I would probably just drink water, and I'd tough it out. Yeah.
Yep. I've been doing that a lot this year.
So all that stuff plays on your gut and how it, how it communicates to your brain. So it's interesting to see the translation of, our current habits and how ultimately, we're in a pill society. Just take this, do this.
Easy button, bro.
This. It's the easy button.
It's the easy button.
It is.
And that's the Liver King gimmick. To me, I'm 43, so I've seen a lot of gimmicks from 5-minute abs to Atkins to Reef calcium, all kinds of supplements. Like you take this, you're gonna be this. I mean, you don't look at that physique if you know anything about the human body and say that. I know from experience. So when he first started to gain notoriety, were you like, total bullshit?
Well, I think it took some time to build that momentum of I'm natural, I'm all this, but I knew, I definitely knew, just because, again, I was a bodybuilder.
You could test me anytime.
I was a bodybuilder, I knew. But ultimately, it's the seat, right? It's knowing that they strategize a plan to become famous, to push the product, and to say that you're natural is just, it's not cool at all.
Bros buy into that, though.
Yeah. I mean,
we all see you and I get to be tall, and that's awesome. Thank God, and we have our hair.
Yeah,
so we should be. He's like 5'7", grateful. So he's very small.
Yeah, I'm aware. I get the Napoleon. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but I mean, bros buy into it big time.
Yeah,
I mean, if he's turning $100 or $200 million over year and doubling his business and stuff, people are buying into it, and some of what he's saying is actually all right. I mean, I mix liver into my nutrition plan.
There's value. There's definitely value within his saying. I think it's just the big foundation.
And the big lie of I'm all natty.
It's the foundation and it's the integrity. For me, it's more so, and I can resonate, right? Like, for me in bodybuilding, like, you get to a point where people can give the excuse of, you're this because you take this. Like, you... Not knowing that, I started when I was 12. Like, I've been in the gym for 20 years of my life.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You don't hammer gear and then just wake up and be jacked. You have to put in, millions of reps?
And this is the recovery. For me, you have to understand the value of steroids, gear, what do you want to call it? The value of it is you can train.
Talking like a bro, dog.
You can train more.
Yes.
So you're leading up to a show, I was training, lifting every day, 6-7 days a week, plus cardio once, if not twice a day. So I'm in the gym 3 times a day preparing for a show.
Amazing.
So understanding that the compounding effect of, it's reps, just like anything in life. The more reps you put into it, the more it compounds. Yeah. So it's more than just taking things, yes. But I think
But that's a misnomer, right? If you've had people say it to you, I hear people say that, and I'm like, okay, yes, Mark McGuire took steroids and hits baseballs. He also is he's working his ass off.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you're not working.
No.
It's just that you can... The performance enhancers that a lot of people talk about, especially when it comes to sports, are just they're allowing you to work harder.
Exactly.
And more.
More volume, more reps.
Because it is about the
reps.
recovery.
And it was the recovery aspect of it, too. Like, if you can recover faster, you can go to the gym sooner.
Sure.
It's as simple as that. And that over time, the compounding effect of that, is the pool for a lot of people. And the recovery is very important, especially as you get older. I mean, TRT is a great thing that, I have clients on that at a certain age, it's necessary. It's important for your recovery, and it adds to your quality of life.
Yes.
But me personally, like I got to a point where I was like, I would love to just get natural and just not have any of the excuses that people may just project onto you.
I got you.
So it's like, okay, like I can achieve the same success within my own physique and just be healthier and not have the understanding of, or the idea of dependence from having to rely on this.
Do you think in 5 or 10 years you might get your levels checked and be like, okay, I'm seeing some decline and I'd have a better quality of life?
I would definitely do it.
So you would probably describe yourself, lifted mindset to me means enhancing my performance any way I can, giving myself a better quality of life and getting more potential out of myself any way that I can. In terms of everything, right? In terms of how I can do business, how I can be a father, how I can perform athletically, but also my longevity.
Exactly. And even like the transparency aspect of it. Like I'm very open with, my use and my bodybuilding and how I'm trying to translate to living a healthier lifestyle. So I think ultimately it was an alignment for me of like, okay, I wanted more clarity, and I also wanted to understand from like a more homeostasis, point of view of, okay, this is my equilibrium, like my natural level of flow. Like this is me literally like with nothing, like natural.
Did you taper off when you made the decision to stop competing? Yeah.
Yeah, I tapered off.
So you didn't, what do you think would have happened if you would have just cold turkeyed everything?
Definitely some form of, obviously, like, I had depressive times within, coming off a little bit. But
did you talk to a doctor, or was it more like working with your coaches?
Working with my coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had coaches, and again, I got blood work done. So we were assessing blood work, all that stuff. But yeah, it was more so understanding that I wanted to get healthier. That was the main thing.
Sure.
I wanted to really make sure that I can optimize my health, because that was a foundation. Like I said, I've had relationship with coaches to where they might have, it's an awareness thing for me. Like, I think I can only take people like as far as I've gone through the experiences I experienced myself. And I wanted to really make sure that I was the healthiest version of me so I can lead, with integrity versus, selling things just to sell them. Right. And I'm not trying to make a gimmick. I had this experience. I've learned from it. I've been unhealthy. I'm trying to make sure I put the work in, the inner work, outer work, whatever you want to call it, to make sure I maintain health and improve and optimize it. But yeah, I just wanted to not have to deal. It's just excess for me. Like the weight was excess, and how that kind of translated into everything else. Like it was more so if I can. And also I switched from bodybuilding I trained for 2 years MMA.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. So okay. So here's a realization.
Mariusz Pudzianowski route.
Here's a realization. So
how fast were you gassing out right when you started?
So when you start, like to have a guy that's 30, 40 pounds lighter than you just kick your ass. Like that's humbling. You realize that these big guys in the gym, like,
they can't do anything with it.
Can't do anything.
So Hill, see if on YouTube you can find Mariusz Pudzianowski MMA. You know who that is, right?
He was a power.
Polish.
He was a
strongman.
Yeah,
but a strongman who looked like a bodybuilder.
Yeah, and he
probably
right
still
now.
does.
Is he still competing at MMA?
I do not know. I just know that in a couple of them, is that him against Butterbean right there? Oh, wow. Man, Butterbean fascinated me growing up, bro. Fascinated me. He gets so red, man. He just, because his heart's just,
it's pumping. Oh, those advertisements on the back.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? See, he looks like he's pacing himself a little bit better here. Oh, that's going to be over.
Oh man.
Okay, so what age were you when you got into MMA?
I was 30. You know, it was
Okay.
like literally. This was like
So was this-
March 2020. So
Was
I
this like a craving for the competitive outlet?
I needed a new outlet, and I think at March 2020 happened. Like everything got shut down. I think I had steam to let off. in
I
a lot of
got you,
ways.
brother.
Yeah,
100% I got you.
yeah. So realizing that it's humbling getting your butt kicked, you know, jiu-jitsu, all that. Like, because I went through the full thing, you know, Muay Thai, boxing. It was a crash course for 2 years because I wanted to get in the ring. I wanted to get an octagon. But that opened my eyes just to my physical ability. Like,
Right.
I don't want to be immobile. I don't want to be like just lifting a certain amount. I don't walk around with a shirt saying, "Oh, I squat 500 pounds." Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
So-
there's a certain, I don't want to say that bodybuilders aren't athletes because I don't think that's true. I think that you're strong, you're disciplined, you're strong-minded, you're doing things that everyone else can't do. But moving athletically is different.
Yeah, it is.
And when you're that big and you can't almost get out of your own way, there's certainly something that seems, I don't know, it just doesn't seem as beneficial.
Yeah, I wanted to optimize, and that was the thing. It was
There you
like I
go.
wanted to be
There's that word again.
athletic. Like I wanted to be able to move. Like I was training. I was like jumping from the ground to the bed of my truck. You know, from when it's closed. So realizing that I want to be more athletic. I want to get back to feeling good and being more capable. And bodybuilding can be limiting in that sense.
Did you get to square off with anybody
I did
more
a
than
smoker.
a spar?
I did a smoker. So it was like it's pretty much it's a fight, but you know you have your ultimate pads, and it's
Sure.
You know, no one wins. It's more
Right.
so a learning experience.
Yeah,
It
YMCA fight, no one wins.
Yeah, it gassed me, but it taught me a lot. It was very humbling. Like the 2 years that I did it for, I learned a lot. you know?
Man, don't you think it's amazing the mindset and the personality and the approach of especially jiu-jitsu players?
Yeah.
There's just no brother.
It's the most physical form.
I've been submitted by women who are 150 pounds smaller than me.
Yeah.
Some little wrist lock.
Yep.
Or,
That's all it takes.
it's crazy.
It's the most physical form of chess, right? It's
Yeah.
it's a game. It's a mental game.
Have you seen you know who Tim Kennedy is?
Yeah.
Have you seen his, what is he calls it combat jiu-jitsu. So it's not a hold and you can't submit them if they can, you know, slap you in the face to get out of the hold. Combat jiu-jitsu, that's crazy stuff right there. So you can't punch anyone. You're not trying to cave someone's face in
Okay.
or knock their teeth out. But if you have me in a wrist lock and I can reach over and, you know, gouge your eye, which I wouldn't do, but
wow.
at least slap you in the face, it's
Yeah.
not a hold. It's not. Yeah, and there's a
I
hold.
gotta look into that now.
Yeah, there's a. I think you should. You should. That's fascinating.
That's
because
interesting.
when we're talking about like, okay, you look great, but what can you do with it? That's what amazes me about NFL offensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone looks on that field and they're like, oh, those are the fat guys. Those are actually some of the best athletes on the field, man. Their feet and
Yeah,
hands,
quick.
their agility.
Yeah.
And most of those guys are like 80 pounds overweight. And as soon as they retire, they are back down. Joe Thomas, man. So he'll pull up Joe Thomas, Cleveland Browns. I think he lost 100 pounds swimming.
Really?
Within
After?
6 months of retiring. And now he does, I think he's on the pregame for the Prime Thursday night show.
Man.
Marvelous athletes, man.
Yeah.
Like you don't even, I mean,
Oh, I've seen them.
do not go talk shit to linemen in a bar. Talk shit to wide receivers. Even talk shit to even, there he is. Yeah, that middle picture.
Oh wow. He does.
The one where he's shirtless. Like, I mean, he is like lean, bro.
lean.
He looks like you.
It's a whole.
Look at that shit.
I mean, I'm sure they're eating a lot in the season.
They are, man.
To maintain that size and power.
It's crazy. My dad's friends with Chad Hennings, who still holds some of the Cowboys' strength records. And it was training camp, Chick-fil-A, and a 6-pack of Corona after, like before you go to bed to
Yeah.
keep the weight on.
Oh, man.
That's just,
wild.
I know. I know it,
Different
man.
lifestyle for sure.
Yeah. No, the what can I do with this? When you know, your outlook on life just changes so much, I would think, when you do become a father. Now you are a defender,
Yeah.
even more than maybe you were. You're a provider. You have to be. You have to step up.
Yes.
Was that a wake up call to you, or was it more just, what was the experience? Everyone tells me I'm not a father yet, but everyone tells me it just changes you. Was it this life-changing experience for you, or is it more of something that kind of developed into what it is now?
I mean, I think it's definitely development. Like, I see myself and my kids every day, and they're my greatest teacher. You know, they teach me patience. They teach me a lot of things. So it was, I became a father in 2015. I was 25, young, but it's grown over the years significantly. And, through challenges, through, 2020, like lockdown, all that stuff. Like, I was at home with my kids. They were 3 and 4.
Oof.
And I was pivoting, like both my gyms were shut down. I was pivoting my business online. So it was like a mental fortitude, the mental fortitude that was required that, it was great growth. I'm thankful for it. I had more time with them, more present with them, but it was tough. But it definitely allowed me to understand my role more, the availability for my presence more in the household, the importance of being a provider, being a loving father, loving husband. Every day I learn and grow every day.
When the cold came out and they told everyone you have to shut down, stay away from people, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, shut your business, you can't go to work, you can't be around people unless you got to go to Walmart, Home Depot, one of the big box stores. That's okay.
Yeah.
But you can't go work out. You can't go work out. But we have this cold going around.
Yeah.
What's going through your mind there? Because as it was happening, I was recognized. I'm a absolute dyed-in-the-wool optimistic pessimist. We are winning today. Even if we lose, we're winning.
Yep.
But I was like, no, wrong. Something's wrong. And I'm not afraid of it. And that's bullshit. What was going through your mind when the cold first started making the rounds in Feb 2020?
It's more so trying to reorient, trying to see what's going on. Like, obviously I was training in person in 2 gyms.
How many clients?
I probably had at least 25 to 30. Wow. So consistent. Yeah. So, it got shut down. So I'm having to pivot. I'm training people outside in parks. I'm training at their home. I was pivoting to more online business because that's what my background's also like online coaching, lifestyle coaching. So it was.
Were you pissed that
I was? Yeah.
We're not talking about lifestyle here.
And really, it was more so I was understanding of the value of lifestyle habits.
So pissed nutrition. That you went to become an MMA fighter.
And not going crazy at home, and dealing with a lot of realizations that it was. I kind of woke up one day and it's all on you in so many ways. So the responsibility that comes with knowing that your immune health is in your control. Obviously, there are some outliers of, being compromised and issues.
Yeah, man. But when you talk about when you look at the numbers, comorbidities, the deaths associated with comorbidities, one of the main ones is obesity. Yeah. Obesity is 100% in the complete control. We talked about controlling everything you can control.
Yes.
It's completely within your control. I mean, you had to go home and sit at home, but you could still DoorDash all day long. Or go to Kroger and stock up on that ice cream, but you can't go get in the sun, and you can't go be around people, and you can't when you're in the gym and you're exchanging energy with people, there's something to be said for that.
There is. Yeah. In that community it definitely, I don't want to say what put me in a depressive state, but it was more so understanding that I know the value of exercise on the body. I know the value of nutrition, all that stuff. And to have everything limited and being, told you have to stay inside, you can't go outside, you can't exercise, all that stuff. Gyms being shut down.
Thought it was my body, my choice, dog. Like, I don't get it, right? I mean, I just don't, I still can't quite understand.
Yeah.
More than can't quite.
Yeah, it's realizing that, and you're hearing the complete opposite, right? You're hearing that, you can't do anything. You have to take this. we have all the power to manipulate our immune health. And, I think my account has been limited in a lot of ways over the past couple of years talking about natural immunity.
No way.
So it's interesting to, see just how we can easily be manipulated by social media, the news, all this stuff.
Well, we just need you to be a battery, plug into the matrix. I want you to eat all this food from Big Food, which is going to make you feel this way, and then I'm going to need to turn you into a lifetime client of Big Pharma. Yeah. And if you don't like that, I got a problem with that. Yeah. You can't talk about that on this platform.
Exactly. And that was it. It was more so I was trying to figure out how I could make a greater impact within, what I did for a living. I was like, okay, let me share more information. Just it's simple stuff. And it's stuff that obviously it's taken some time for me. I've been in fitness and health, since I started interning when I was 15. Wow. So it was more so like before this, I had 15 years of experience of understanding the innate intelligence, again, of the human body, of knowing that if you eat the right foods, if you exercise, if you drink water, get some sun, like you're good. Like I don't get sick. Like I don't take the flu shot. I don't get the flu. Like never have.
It all works itself out.
Works itself out. Like,
when you don't limit the body's innate natural ability to do what it does. Because when you go eat, Takis or Fire Hot Cheeto. I think, isn't Dr. Amen? Do you follow Dr. Amen?
Yeah, I do.
He's doing that. It's pretty genius. Like,
it is.
This is all the shit in Flamin' Hot Cheetos that's going to kill you.
Yep.
I'm a client of his for the brain stuff.
Oh, nice.
And some of what he says is a little soft sometimes. On some of what he says, though, do you not find it amazing how marijuana use becoming very mainstream, which I have no problem with. Marijuana's great here and there.
Yeah.
But what it does, especially to hormone levels, is pretty crazy. And I don't think people understand that, they smoke it, they feel maybe a little more calm, maybe they sleep a little better, but it fucks your... It absolutely, it really does.
Yeah.
Is it amazing to you the advancements that have been made in terms of fitness technology? So now you go get your levels tested. That's not really something that was very mainstream even 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Is that something that you just have your clients? They come in, you discuss their goals. You maybe are setting expectations like, hey, we can get some results here, but you're gonna have to put it in. Are you directing them toward food sensitivity tests,
blood work,
levels, blood work?
Stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Definitely, you want to have the fullest picture possible of what we can assess. If it's obviously, physical pictures are great, but internal health, that's the main thing. If we can really optimize the word, every aspect and find as many reference points as possible, it's greater success long term. The more information, more data is going to be more valuable long term. So anytime someone comes with me, the part of the onboarding process is assessing blood work, really checking numbers. Like my one client, 51-year-old, she was pre-diabetic. Obviously we took some blood work, assessed that, and then totally just destroyed those numbers. And now she's doing great. So I take every consideration, and it's also my background with bodybuilding and knowing that, if you add in any form of hormones exogenously, you have to take an assessment on that on a regular basis. So I definitely make sure that we have a full comprehensive spectrum of, okay, what can we look at? How can we get you to point A to point B the most effectively and the healthiest possible way?
Does it concern you at all that people talk about marijuana in this way, like it is some sort of health food? Like it's I hear when I hear it talked about, what I hear, right? We have to say everything that way, right?
Yeah.
What I hear when I hear you say that is that they refer to it like it's a performance enhancer. And I'm like, no, it's not a performance enhancer. I've done studies on my own levels and seen nothing, levels up, feel awesome. More use, levels down even further than with alcohol use.
Really?
Yes, which we know that alcohol does things to your estrogen levels if you're a man, and they do the same thing if you're a woman, that causes a difference in your body composition, your posture, just the way you look. But does this As this pot renaissance, as it comes to the fore now, and it's got to be legal everywhere, which I totally agree with. Fuck you, government. Don't tell me what I can put into my body, do with my body, as long as I'm not killing someone or harming children. You can take that over there and miss me with it. But does it bother you?
I think, anything used to excess is going to cause some issues. I think alcohol, marijuana, food, too much TV. I think obviously coming back to that extreme ownership aspect of,
Have you read that book?
I haven't, but
awesome book, bro.
It's a great principle though. Yeah.
Throw that fucker on Audible next time you're running or doing something. It's great.
But knowing that,
you'll want to get back in the ring.
I hope not. I can't read that. I don't want. I use my sword for something else now. I try to help more people. But yeah, it's I've seen value in it. Like I've seen value in the past with it. I have clients that literally own groweries, so I've been in this space, and heck, I have a lifted mindset,
Is this more maybe about let's just be aware of, yes, the benefits, but that anything that's not being used in balance could also...
It's your intention, right? Like, I think when you set your intention right, like, if it's every month, if I want to have a little bit of marijuana, it's fine. But if you're constantly have this inability to manage, I guess, your stress, breathwork,
need it.
Some kind of mindfulness practice, exercise is great. I see so many studies that are like focusing on, that does this to your brain, but are you counterbalancing the effects with some form of exercise, some form of nutrition, proper nutrition plan? So it's give and take. Obviously, it can be excessive. It becomes addictive. I'm not saying marijuana's addictive, but I'm saying at a certain point, I know people that smoke every day.
Yeah, maybe you get stuck. Maybe it chemically isn't addictive, but maybe you get stuck in a behavioral pattern.
Yes, and that's why I want to. Yeah, it's more so what I'm talking about.
Do you have any experience, or do you intend to have experience with other forms of beneficial plant medicines?
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely, like psilocybin, you see a lot of great studies on psilocybin.
No doubt.
Mushrooms are great in general, even from, over the counter, like lion's mane, all cognitive health. My grandma's 84 and she's seeing some decline within her cognitive health. And so trying to implement some form of, lion's mane is great. It's great for cognitive health, neurons in the brain, regrowing some parts of that, and neuroplasticity. Psilocybin's obviously it's growing now as far as being helpful for PTSD. My father's in the military for 25 years, so I definitely can see a form of helping that aid veterans in a lot of ways. But yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of value in studies on psilocybin. And just depression, just long-term well-being. But again, you have to go back to what's the intention behind it. Am I utilizing this for just to trip out, or am I utilizing this for long-term wellness?
I think they call it journeying, man.
Yeah, it's the wording. You're right. It's the power of words.
It is that optimizing, though, and enhancing. Lots of CEOs try the spirit molecule, whether they're taking that off those toads. There's a CEO who just put together a toad growing farm.
Is that like MDM? What is that?
Well, that's DMT.
DMT.
Yeah, which is
Isn't the toad like 5-MeO?
5-MeO DMT.
Okay.
Yeah, which there's, I think, 3 or 4 different types or strains of DMT. DMT is what your own body produces. It's in our cells. They just found it in our lungs. So you actually, and you've mentioned breath work. I think I've counted 7 times now.
Okay.
So have you done breath work to the point where you've had like a DMT type experience doing things like breath of fire, and where, I mean, this is not sit around, meditate, I fall asleep. It's like a chore. But if you do it and you focus and dial in, I mean, the sensations.
Yeah, I've had some good breathwork practices, experiences, not to that extent where it is the work of the deep breathing, exhale, inhale, like Wim Hof, all that stuff.
Right.
But I'm still, I'd say probably a few years into it. So I'm still trying to new to the game.
I got to send you a link. You got to try this one. It's only 11 minutes.
Okay.
But do it like 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
I go out like quiet in the sun.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Okay.
It's amazing. You're like, well, okay, I just did that with breath.
Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah.
And I got some water, and that's it.
Exactly.
And I feel this is nuts.
And there's power. Like, again, the power of the body. We're a self-healing machine in so many ways.
If you were dumbing down nutrition to someone, let's say someone messages you through your app and they're like, hey, I just want some rules of thumb. You give me just some, if I want to lean up, should I be going for like a gram of protein per pound of where I want my ideal body fat to be? And are you a big macros guy?
I'm not a huge macros guy. I would say over calories, yes. Focus on macros more than calories because, again, all calories are the same. But I try to have a list for most people. Be like, hey, keep this within your, it's a 90-10 rule. If you could have 9% of your food within this list of foods and 10%, other 10 could be whatever you want. I try to keep it more simple that way. Some people enjoy macros. I'm all for it. I just don't like the obsessiveness of counting the macros themselves.
Weighing everything.
I've done that. Like in bodybuilding, it's what I did for for a decade. So more so, I'm over it. I want to keep it simple. I have other things to focus on, like business and my other clients. But if I have someone that comes with me and asks me simple question, keep it simple, as easy as possible. And everyone's different. Like some people like the numbers. I could care less about the numbers. I know what food works for me. I know I'll try new things. I eat a pretty decent diet for the most part. I'm consistent. I know it works. I'm eating mostly whole food, fruits, vegetables, good amount of protein, meats. And again, we're also assessing the client's, sensitivity as well. So everyone's different. If it's a calorie count, if it's a grams per protein, I try to keep it depending on what you're weighing. Focus on protein more than anything.
So if I'm hungry, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting around. I've had dinner, but I'm gonna back to back a Netflix show. I'm still kind of little. If I'm reaching for a snack that doesn't have any nutritive value at all, an empty calorie, not a building block calorie. 'Cause we've really established that 2,000 calories in a day of Cheeto is not 2,000 calories of sirloin steak. Yes. If you did that, what do you think your body would look like if you did a month of Cheeto and Diet Mountain Dew, like all the time, every day? Do you think that it would look different in a month than if you did the same experiment with water and ribeye?
Yeah, it would. I know. I just feel
you feel horrible.
I feel horrible.
But do you think it would really reveal? I mean, you're pretty finely tuned. Your hardware's pretty finely tuned.
I feel like, I think of my body like right now, like more passive. It's like a passive body. Like I've put in the work for 20 years, built that muscle memory, whatever you want to call it. So it would change to a certain extent. Would feel totally different. I know I wouldn't feel as best as I do now. Looking wise, I'd probably lose some muscle. Yeah, if I'm eating, food that has no nutrient value, I would definitely look a little bit different. But a month of it, I could get back on track in, a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Other than that, I would never recommend that, though. I would never do it because I just know the long-term value of nutrition.
Do I know that I'm just eating because I'm bored or because it's a thought, not an actual physical, biological, anatomical need? If I reach for protein and I go, no, I'm not hungry enough for that, but I am hungry enough for this microwave popcorn, then I'm actually not hungry?
That's a choice, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
That's a hell of a litmus test, though, right?
Yeah.
Like if I set them both next to microwave popcorn's actually horrible for you in many ways.
Yeah, corn in general.
Corn is awful.
Corn's bad.
And in everything. But if that was your litmus test, that okay, if I'm hungry enough that I would nail this can of tuna, then okay, I can have a little popcorn, but I'm also gonna have this can of tuna.
And again, like it's I find that balance, right? Like if you can have some, like if you can prioritize protein, that's the main thing. If you can prioritize protein within, let's say you're eating 3 times a day, most of your meals, that's a great foundation. You can plug in carbohydrates, plug in fats. Obviously, there's a misconception that, nutritional fat's bad for you. It really optimizes.
What is that? What's nutritional fat?
Just like any fat you eat, right? Like people are like, oh, this is going to turn into body fat.
Well, yeah, right. That's a massive misconception. If you see what keto and the oils and fats, like, do you know who Max Lugavere is?
Yeah.
I mean, what he's doing with his mom, it's either his mother or his grandmother who's having cognitive decline, and he's put her on keto, and she's not better, but she's way better than she was because we're going hard at olive oil, avocado oil, avocados.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something from the old days of the food pyramid, right? Oh man, everything's got to say low fat on it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you listen to boomers.
Yeah, and that was what they paid off scientists
Yeah.
to say that, sugar is good for you. Like carbs are more important than fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just crazy, right?
Yep.
When you hear or see on social media bro science, is this something? There are some people you can follow, like Lane Norton is great about shooting holes in a lot of bro science. I think it's probably where you look. I think that's the most fascinating thing about social media is you can actually get a lot of really good information that wasn't even available a few years ago. I mean, there's a lot of info there. It's almost like what you're looking for is what you'll find.
Exactly.
And we don't always want the hard answers. We want the easy ones. Mm-hmm. Well, let's go down the list of some bro science stuff. So can I only get creatine from a powder?
No, you get it from red meat. Yeah.
And some fishes.
And some fish, yeah.
So if I am eating a well-rounded diet, I don't necessarily need that supplement.
Yeah, I mean, you really don't need most supplements. Like BCAAs, branched chain, it's just a ploy, right? It's more so it's a gimmick.
Yeah. And that's what I think is really at the fore this week with Liver King is there's so much, it's just so gimmicky. But it was like that was so out of left field. If I eat the organ of an animal, then that organ in me improves.
Yeah, testicles, all that stuff.
Down to that. There's people eating that going, hey, man, whatever works. If I could be working with just a little more down there, then I would be happy, motherfucker.
Actually, we have a taste test set up for you. Hold on, Mark.
Oh, no.
We do not. We do not. I ain't eating that shit,
Rocky
man.
Mountain oysters.
Well, plus, just for the fucking record on YouTube, I'm good to go in that department.
Here's a link right here.
I need no assistance, man. No assistance. Okay, what about pre-workout, though?
Yeah.
Is pre-workout beneficial?
I mean, there's value from vasodilation.
What does it do that people don't notice? I think a lot of old timers, boomers, or people who are new to fitness just think, oh, that's just gonna, I'm taking the pre-workout, it's just gonna get me jacked up. And there's all kinds of stim-free pre-workouts.
There are. It's evolved quite a bit. Like, I personally don't take one. And I used to when I was sponsored back in the day. Caffeine for me is just something that doesn't work for me anymore. I just don't like it.
Do you miss, though, the benefits of just coursing all that oxygen into your bloodstream to feel that pump when you're working? Or you are kind of at this stage in your life where you're just sort of over that shit right now?
Like, I utilize different forms of it, right? Like beets are great. They're great for heart health, like natural vasodilation. Really? Yeah, beets. Yeah.
So if you threw down if you threw some beets in like a natural pre-workout with like maybe a little calorie and like some iron-rich spinach or something like that, would you get a better pump?
And they have I have been taking like a beet supplement, like a powder form, like literally pre-workout. No caffeine, like very simple ingredients. But yeah, most pre-workouts, it's evolved over the years, less stimulants. Some still have a lot of caffeine, but they'll increase your blood flow. And then also the caffeine helps kind of get you more jacked, more jittery.
So you're working
heart rate
harder.
Up a little more. Yeah, I guess it gives you that supplemental motivation.
Do you think that most people that we encounter on a daily basis have like this base consciousness that they live in that they don't even realize is chemically enhanced by their caffeine use?
I think some people are dependent on it. Like coming back to, how I used to wake up, pressing the snooze every time. I see that every day now. I see people that wake up at like a baseline of just like below average, and they just need the caffeine just to get to not even just normal, So it's
just to like functional.
Just to function, And you see people driving crazy all the time in the morning, just tired. It affects everything. Sleep, recovery is everything. So realizing that if you can optimize your sleep, you wake up more, you're more wakeful, you have more energy, and you don't have to have that dependence on caffeine. Because a lot of people, I could say something about caffeine, they're like, hold up, it's a religion to me. Like, don't mess with my caffeine, don't take my caffeine away.
Man, you talk about caffeine or cheese to people, you better prepare to be stabbed.
Yeah.
They ain't
exactly.
hearing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can't give up cheese. That's the first thing I tell people when I'm like, oh, I don't do dairy. I can't give up cheese. I'm like, just eat goat cheese. It's the shit. Yeah. Like, this isn't that hard.
Good.
A lot of really, a lot of things that are in the staples of what we eat that are just horrible. Like, I don't do any gluten. I don't do any soy, corn, or dairy. And I feel so much better.
Yeah.
I feel like I can just go and go and go. It's great.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because then when you go try to shop for those things, it is in everything.
Yep.
Everywhere.
The center of the store, right? Like, I'm like, eat everything around the store versus all the aisles. Yeah. It's everywhere.
Yeah, eat like a hunter-gatherer would.
Yeah.
Okay, what about working out? What about the time of day that you work out? So if you work out in the late afternoon or the evening, is it going to affect your sleep patterns? Because that's a thing. That's something that's trending online a lot now too.
I have clients, and they're, again, you agitate the body in a sense. Your heart rate's elevated in the workout in the evening. Some people can't sleep. If you're taking your pre-workout even early afternoon, it's going to lead into the quality of your sleep.
At least go with the stim-free pre-workout.
Exactly. Yeah. So I typically don't recommend working out in the evening. Because again, it's more so if I can really prioritize the quality of my sleep, I get up early. So
I was going to say, what time are you falling asleep?
We lay in bed probably at like 9.
Okay.
And I'm getting up at
3:45 or 4?
3:45, yeah.
What are you getting, about 6.5 solid?
Yeah, sometimes 7. Yeah, and
you can get by on that?
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's my natural state, right? I just go to bed, don't need anything to go to sleep. I wake up, don't need anything to wake up.
You don't need anything in the morning. You're pretty good to go.
I'm good.
Do you feel like when you were competing, you felt stronger and your output was better later in the day? Like, I do not feel strong in the morning. I do not feel like I can go squat personal bests in the morning. I think I definitely get up, get in the sun, walk, or whatever, but I like to strength train like in the afternoon.
I think I've trained like every time of the day. I used to train early in the morning at 4:30 before I worked with clients. I used to train in the evening. I found I need to get up, get some sun, get at least a meal in, have some time for it to digest, probably between 10 a.m. to early afternoon. Like, that's my prime time for me, because that's when I feel my strongest, getting some food in me, and really allowing to digest fully, because I recommend not eating before your workout too soon.
Is it bro science that you get better results like doing fasted cardio, or
there's some science behind it as far as the glucose within your system. So let's say you're waking up with some form of glycogen deficiency, just like doing cardio after your weight training. You're depleting glycogen within your system. So those are the carbs you take in and utilize as fuel. So once that form is depleted, you're typically pulling from more fat sources. So first thing in the morning, post-workout, the best times I've seen clients get success as far as fat burning goes. So it's bro science, but at the same time, there is good science behind it.
If you really want results, is a post-workout, like as you're driving home from the gym or as you're walking up the stairs to take your shower, if you work out in your garage, like this guy, do I need to be hitting a protein shake like right then, even if I'm going to have dinner in an hour and a half? Am I missing
The anabolic window.
a benefit there? Yes. Is that real? Is that BS? You can't tell me, well, it depends on the person.
I would say that. I found that, I used to be that guy, right? Like, 30 minutes, I need to get that anabolic window.
sure.
But no. Especially if you're eating an hour after, 90 minutes after, you're fine. And there's some value within even your HGH release, your human growth hormone, if you wait a little bit after your workout to not eat. So there's some value within there, but you don't have to have a protein shake 30 minutes after workout. I haven't had protein or a protein powder in years. I eat whole food, stick with whole food.
Just get it all from your food.
Yeah.
What about have you heard of like controlling your insulin, like maybe before? I've heard of like eating an apple with the skin, or have you heard of the gummy bears? Or
Like before a workout?
yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. There's some value within, obviously,
Or
pre-workout,
Marshawn
like
Lynch and
post-workout.
Skittles.
You'll have an insulin spike post-workout. Yeah, that would be great because that shuttles in more protein. Because there's a science behind, obviously, having post-workout carbohydrates with your protein shake. If it's gummy bears, if it's fruit, if it's a banana, an apple, whatever. Because you're going to spike your insulin, which pushes the carbohydrates that pulls the protein as well into the muscle to help that recovery.
Interesting. What's the best, most efficient way, and is this even doable for the viewers and listeners to figure out how many calories you should be intaking on a daily basis to optimize your performance? Or would this be something that you would say you need to kind of go on your own journey? I mean, I know you can go get a body mass scan. I've done that. That's very informative. A little disappointing to see that like how much of the body is lean, how much of it is bone, how much of it is not supposed to be there. Is that something you can do at home? Figure out, okay, I weigh this much. I need to take in this many calories. And is that something that you're going to have as part of your app that you're working on?
So the first question, again, sorry for saying it depends.
No, I get it,
depending
man.
on the goals. Like for me,
Like
I
think that's what people don't understand, man. Like if you listen to all the chatter, it's the vegans are mad at the carnivores. The carnivores are like, well, no, and go Trump or whatever. And it's like, what works for you? If you do believe that we're all different and that what works for you might not work for me, and that's cool. I'm not going to hate on you for that. Then I can't really ask you any of these questions to which you can just say, yes, Jess, 100% this, and it's the answer for everyone, or we've just cut off our nose to spite our face. So I get it. And I was only joking earlier. No, I get it. But in terms of like, okay, I want to be 20 pounds lighter than I am now. What do I need to do practically to get there? Do I just need to go do an hour of treadmill a day? I need to cut this out, that out. I need to drink more water. I need to do all that.
It's, I'd say start simple.
Start by getting with Josh.
Start by getting your water in. Hydration translates to improved digestion, improved circulation. When we're talking about nutrition-wise, prioritize protein. Get more whole quality protein in your diet.
Is
eggs.
it best to eat that first? You sit down to dinner, maybe drill the protein first, and then go for the other things if you've still got an appetite. Is that a smart little hack?
Learning from my elders, I'm always asking those questions, right? I have a grandfather that's like in his 80s, and he's like, yeah, you eat the protein first, and he's living a healthy lifestyle. He's he's a strong guy. So seeing that you can obviously consume the most quality nutrient first, yeah, protein, but don't stray away from the value of, again, going back to quality fats, your olive oils, your avocado, and then carbohydrates, good, form of rice, potato, whatever it may be. But as far as other lifestyle choices, yeah, exercise. Like, I wouldn't say cardio. I would not recommend starting with cardio for anyone. Like, weight training is where it's at. If you can optimize, ultimately, it's the foundation of getting stronger. if you can get stronger and build the muscle up, it will adapt by increasing your metabolism.
Okay, so devil's advocate. I don't have any weights at my house, and I can't afford to hire you yet, but I'm gonna because, man, your YouTube podcast with Jess was the shit.
Exactly.
I like what you have to say, and I'm coming to McKinney to work out with you, but I got to get a few more racks stacked in my account first. I have no weights at my house, but you're telling me I got to do resistance training. So can I just use body weight exercises to start that journey?
Of course.
Can I do body weight squats, walking lunges, push-ups, things like that?
Of
and
course.
that, if I'm strapped for time in my day, like I have 45 minutes and I don't waste any time.
Yeah.
I don't play video games. I'm responsible to take care of my mom, dad, and grandma, whatever. I have a full life. I have a 2-hour commute. I have 45 minutes. You're telling me going and running is not going to get me where I want to be as fast as doing body weight exercises and resistance training.
Running's great. It's more so the walking on the treadmill. Obviously, steady state cardio, it's great, but I think long-term benefit is going to help you build stronger muscle tissue, stronger overall supported joints, and the added muscle from resistance or even just from body weight. Any form of resistance is going to help get you stronger. That translates into improved metabolic resilience. So your basal metabolic rate is the number of calories you burn on a typical day. So just by adding some muscle tissue, that increases those numbers on that basal metabolic rate. And you're burning more calories at rest when you're watching TV on Netflix, when you're sleeping,
When we're sitting
when
here
you're
talking.
sitting here talking, when you're in the office in your cubicle. All these things come into play. So if you can focus on getting stronger, the body will adapt. You'll add muscle tissue. And that muscle tissue is so valuable long term. When we're talking about longevity, overall vitality, just your mobility in general. So I'm always an advocate because, again, I've been in the gym for 20 years. I've seen what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
Cardio is great. If you can, it's supplemental, though. If you can supplement with cardio, great for cardiovascular health, all that stuff. But weight training long term is going to help so much more.
Well, and we talked about a mutual for Travis, who is who I found out about you through. So the guy's got a very demanding job. He's got a kid. He's doesn't have all the time in the world, and he's a real hard-working dude, man. Very ambitious cat, for sure. When he's at the gym, though, it's not set, look at my phone, set, look at my phone. It's go.
Let's go.
And if you work out that way for 45 minutes to an hour, maybe even not that long, you can get a really good cardio workout if you're going from resistance training.
Circuit type training.
Yeah. Right. So in terms of like optimizing your time and trying to get the best bang for your buck in terms of I want to spend an hour, but I want to look different in 30 days, maybe work out resistance-wise to build that muscle up so you're burning calories while you're sleeping and sitting.
Exactly.
But don't fuck around while you're doing it.
Exactly. And Travis is a perfect example. His background is fitness. He used to train. He used to also cycle, and he was a cycle coach. So he used to train 6, 7 times a week, lifting weights. And now he trains twice a week with me. And our goal is efficiency. Because again, he is growing his company. He has a family. So he doesn't have a lot of time. So if we can efficiently create a plan of action for him that he's in the gym doing circuit training, 3-4 exercises back to back, nonstop, we're resting a little bit, and then going again, like the efficiency within that has just transformed his physique overall. And it's given him so much more time outside the gym.
He's looking so hot now, Travis.
Yeah.
She's looking so sexy.
Still good.
It sounds to me like you're really dialed in with your clients on trying to figure out something that's going to work for them. If you have a client that says, Josh, I really want to get fit but I need you to hold me accountable. Will you say to that client, that's on you, man? Or will you say, okay, motherfucker?
It's part of it, yeah.
Will you be like, Sohill, gym, 30 minutes, let's go? Or is that a program you can sign up for?
I do.
Jess, you missed a day.
Yeah.
Don't appreciate it. I'm charging your card. I didn't get 24 hours notice.
Yeah. So definitely that one-on-one time. they're committed to a time with me where they come in and work out. So it's definitely, the accountability aspect is so important when it comes to achieving results. And then I have, online clients that, check in with me. They might not see me every day, but they do check in on a weekly basis to where they're sending me their either progress photos, we're assessing their sleep, their nutrition, was it off? How'd you feel? How was your well-being overall? Did you fall off your diet a little bit? What's your weight at this week? So there's all these areas, and that's going to be within the app too. So there's all these areas that I'm trying to pinpoint and give people homework to understand that, yeah, the responsibility is yours, but at the same time, like, you have a support system that helps you navigate this. The goal is to get you from point A to point B as efficiently as possible. Like, I have a client that's an online client. He's in Denver, and long-time exercise enthusiast. But we started working together in the first 10 weeks. He's like, the past 20 years I've been doing this. Like, I've been just bullshitting. Yeah. You've totally changed up. I never trained legs. Like, now that I'm training legs, I'm getting stronger, and it translates into everything else.
What don't men realize, and women, but what is it that they don't realize about training legs, the importance of activating, especially your pelvis, before or during everywhere, even if it's not leg day, and what it can help do with regard to their, especially testosterone levels?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great studies as far as training legs. A bigger muscle group, it requires a lot of energy expenditure, and it's tough. That's why people don't like doing it. Like, people don't like squatting. But it translates into the overall development of your body. Obviously, it's the foundation that you're walking on every single day. So a stronger foundation is going to give you the support you need to have a stronger upper body. So it's interesting to see how, and that naturally improves your testosterone.
Yeah.
So pushing yourself physically from a lower body standpoint for men is so beneficial and needs to happen more often.
Maybe you don't need TRT. Maybe you just need to do more lunges.
Exactly.
Squats.
Yeah. And going into that, I have clients that they could be in their 50s. I had one that came to me, and he was already on TRT. But we literally just changed up his nutrition, his sleep, his overall, I guess, the habits. And he went back to his doctor. His numbers were so much higher just by changing up that lifestyle. So the doctor lowered his dosage and eventually took him off.
Awesome.
So it's cool to see how you can change up your internal hormones just simply by changing up your lifestyle habits.
Do you think that once people are on TRT, it's something that they should be able to use to get momentum and get over the hump, and then they should be able to balance that out? Or is that going to be a case by case type thing too?
It all depends. Because again, stress plays a big role in our hormones. Just life in general. If things happen, it's definitely a case by case basis where I'm having to assess them on a weekly basis to make sure that they're doing the right things. But all these habits come into play, like drinking effects, like we talked about, all this stuff plays. So my focus is a lot of stress management. If we can really optimize your ability to maintain and manage your stress, everything else falls into place. And that's the cool thing.
And when you do start to work out, a lot of people start working out because they want their body to look different or feel different. They don't realize that what's going to end up happening is their mind's going to change, and then the workout actually takes a different form for them mentally. It becomes a way to test themselves. It also, for a lot of people with depression or stress disorders, it becomes almost like a natural medicine for them. It's the way they mellow out. It's the way they balance out. Do you see that with a lot of people that they come in? You might even tell them, look, if you stick with this, you're gonna notice this change. And they're like, yeah, Josh, just get this 30 pounds off me, and we'll worry about that other pie in the sky, new age mental stuff later. Yeah. And then they come back and they're obviously hugging you because their body looks different. But is there also a mental change that they're talking about?
Yeah, it's cool to see how curiosity is just biologically ingrained in passion. So once people become curious about something, exercise, and you see that passion build, it's the mindset, right? It's the shift in knowing that, okay, I could change up my neurology simply by physical exercise and the physical exertion of my body. And how the mind and body are so connected. So I always see it takes some time. It definitely takes time to kind of ingrain or lay that foundation for some people. Because again, it is physical, because that's what we see, right? taking in so much information with their eyes. So the goal may be to look a certain way, but eventually, if we can build a deeper intrinsic motivation for people, and it takes some time. Like I have clients that come to me, they want to lose weight, but I focus on that specifically. Obviously, it's what they want, but I know long term what's going to keep them going, because I've been in the gym for 20 years and I've been bored. But I realize at the point now that I train now for just mental health, just to be able to go in there and push myself and know that I can get stronger, and how that progress translates into every area of my life, my business, my family, all that stuff. So it's a mental test for me at this point, but I've seen so much value translate into other people's lives.
You know who Robert Greene is, the writer, 48 Laws of Power, Mastery,
yes,
The Art of Seduction. So he talks about, we form an opinion about someone when we meet them face to face in the first 10 seconds that's never going away. It doesn't matter how progressive we think we are, open-minded we think, how well we get to know this person. That first impression, like you never get a second chance to make a first impression, that is never going away. And so if all you got out of a workout was that you looked more the part when someone came into your office to invest or wanted to hire you to build them a house or sell them a house, if that's all you got out of fitness, that would be enough. Exactly. But the crazy thing that people don't understand, it's so hard to be like, you're going to feel so much better if you would just and it doesn't have to be drudgery and trudgery. It can be fun and you're going to feel better. It's going to be your neural pathways are flexible. They're going to change. You're going to start looking forward to your workout. Maybe not because of how you feel during, but because of how you feel after. And then a lot of people like the during and the after. And then it just becomes...
That's some momentum right there.
Yeah. And is that the most rewarding part of your job, is helping people realize that when you do lift your mindset and your vision gets bigger and you start to understand that more is possible and I'm way more powerful than I thought I was, and I'm not helpless and I'm not fearless and I'm fucking strong and let's go. Yep. Does that light you up?
You get it. Yeah, you get exactly. That's exactly what Lit the Mindset's all about. I have clients that they can be, running a company. They could, be the president of their company, and they come to me and they're like, they're 40 pounds overweight, and they're like, I want to, show up better, for these meetings. I know that, my physical appearance, impacts my confidence and how I'm showing up and interacting with other people. So knowing that they're aware of that, definitely gives me some insight, and definitely I understand them more, and I definitely connect with what they're trying to accomplish more, and seeing them achieve that and opening their mindset up to like, oh, okay, now this is fun. Like now the work that I'm putting in is paying off, and how that's translated into every other aspect of my life, like business, at home, all this stuff is just, it's beautiful. That's why I love it. I love what I do.
It's awesome, man. We talked a little bit about how tech has changed fitness. I mean, you can't get around nutrition. You can't get around the reps, right? But we can test our levels now. We know a lot more. Were you interested in the app side of your business as an entrepreneur before the 2020 spring when the cold came out? Or has that been something that you've kind of pivoted toward as you've seen, hey, there's an opportunity to grow a business here. People might connect with me, never meet me, connect with me on social media and like what I say, because you don't mince words, man. You're like, let's lead from the front here, be fit, show your kids the way it's done. Now they can connect with you over the internet, and now this app is going to help you keep them on track. Was that something though that you had thought about before the cold came out in 2020?
Not specifically. It definitely, I had to pivot hard. I had to pivot when the gyms got shut down, when I wasn't interacting with people in person. So it was more so understanding that, online is going to be where it's at. And my mindset opened up even more, with social media. And, I've had consultations with people from Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
So that was more so, that opened my mind up the most. I was like, wow, like I can really create a global brand in the sense of helping people all over the world versus, me starting out at Gold's Gym in Valley Ranch over where the Cowboys used to train, So it's cool to
Old
see
school.
the progression of.
I've worked out there.
Yeah. So cool to see the progression of like a small time trainer within that gym and seeing how I can start to create a brand outside of just, Texas, outside of, the United States. So the app definitely is a new thing. I've kind of gone back and forth, but understanding that I can create a better service and have more clarity and just connect with people more instantly. And just it's streamlining systems, right? It's more so I want to help more people. One-on-one's great. I love it. At the same time, I also understand that I want to create an environment, a community where I can serve more people.
Sure.
So it's definitely
hard
grown.
hard to one-on-one, hard to scale one-on-one.
Yes.
And you see this with Peloton more than they didn't start the company to get the bike in your house. They started the company to get the screen in your house.
Yeah.
And now you can do everything through the screen, where they say you can.
Yeah.
What's your biggest challenge been, if you could put your finger on it, building your brand, starting your companies, being an entrepreneur, having to get out there every day and hunt and kill what you eat? Has there been one thing? For me, it's delegating. That has been very difficult for me because I have a way I want to do things. I have a way I know will work, but the head coach can't go on the field and run every play. It takes however many are playing that game. In rugby, it's 15. In football, it's 11. In basketball, it's 5. And that has taken me years to get to where I'm comfortable with it. I delegate, and then my job is no longer to do those tasks. It's to follow up on all the things I've delegated and coach and help. Hey, let's do this a little better. Is there one thing for you that's been a challenge?
You're spot on with you. I'm same thing. It's delegation. Realizing that I've been doing things so long. I've had and I've had bad business relationships to things falling through, not working out. So understanding that. Taking time to build the trust and finding the right people that see the same vision as me, and also just building a more clear brand itself and allowing people to really understand what Lifted Mindset stands for. That's been the main thing. Just growing and taking on more people. That's the main thing. Just building a team that I can put all my trust into and really allowing them to allow this growth of the fruition of this company.
Did you design that? So I noticed I did realize that's really cool that's a brain.
Yeah, I did.
That's awesome. That's really I'm a logo fucking nerd.
Yeah, I did.
Bro.
Yeah, I love that.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I did. It's very intentional. Like I was like really just trying to understand. Okay,
it's really
the
cool.
value of like 2020 hit, and I was like brain health is everything. Seeing how this cold is impacting people's senses and their smell and how it translates into your physical body, lifting weights, neurology. So it was fun. And just thinking bigger, thinking outside,
yes.
That was the main thing. So it took some time, but I thought it up, drew it up, and had someone make it for me.
I love it, man. Good for you. I think that's the other thing about psilocybin too. It can help a lot of people who have trauma and help these guys through PTSD. But having had some great experiences with it, it helps you see things differently. And, as an entrepreneur, it's kind of tough because you come up against roadblocks all the time.
Yes.
And so we can either see a roadblock as a wall or as a hurdle. And sometimes that day, I'm not going to get over that hurdle. I just got to go, I got to pivot, and then I got to attack this little thing or problem or put this fire out or go work on. And those experiences with plant medicine I think that's the most fascinating thing. I think there's so much about our brains, and that's why I'm fascinated by your brand name, because we don't understand how much our brain chemistry affects everything we do, the decisions we make, and the way we feel. And if we dialed that in and then put action behind it, like all of us, if as a collective we did. I know that's a little hippie thinking a little bit, but it would just really make changes at a grassroots level that would be measurable,
Yeah, and that was also the branding itself was really understanding that, our eyes are literally a part of our brain. It's how we perceive the world. And I understood almost like how I train people, from a neurological standpoint of knowing that I have older clients that, have issues with stability, knowing that how connected our physical body is to our brain and movement patterns and all that stuff. So optimizing movement is the main thing for me. And that it's easiest also efficiency going into getting people the best results possible. If we can use the body, because I'm coming from an isolated bodybuilding background, now if I can use the body synergistically as one, like you're more efficient, and then those movement patterns translate into neuroplasticity, all that stuff. So I always I've had a foundation in knowing if I can optimize brain health, like everything else kind of falls into place.
It really defines getting high on your own supply.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is possible. Yeah. There is bliss within. Even if you're faith-based and you believe there's only one road or one river to the ocean, we're made a certain way. There's a reason why when you slow down and breathe, or when you get in nature, or when you eat good food, or drink pure water, you feel a certain way. You're set up for that. Mm-hmm. Whether that evolved, whether that was created, I don't know. Maybe we'll never know. Maybe there's science that says it either way. I don't know. Let's let all them argue about that. I just know, and from living it for so long, you live one way, you don't feel like it's quite right, you shift, you change the way you look at things like you've done in your life, and then you start to see doors open up that weren't opening up previously because you've used this word a few times too, you're aligned. And that alignment's so important. Josh, it's been awesome. And if people are watching or listening and they want to connect with you, get with you, learn more about your app when it launches, what's the best way to connect with you?
My website, theliftedmindset.com. It's as simple as that.
That's awesome, man. And we'll tag you on Instagram on all of your clips and everything, man. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jess.
That's 2 hours and 12 minutes, and it seems like it was only 12 minutes, brother.
Flew by.
I appreciate you, man. That was
awesome.
awesome.
Thank you so much.